I'm Jake Bruton, and today on the Build Show, we're going to talk about cutting windows into a foundation, egress, window wells, everything you need to know about making the room on the inside a habitable space, as in a bedroom. Let's do it now. Okay, so I am standing on one of our renovation products. You don't see that many renovation projects from us. You see a lot more new construction, but for the longest time, especially when the previous owners, my parents, owned the company, this sort of thing was our bread and butter. We did mostly renovation and repair and additions. This house was built in the 1940s to maybe early 50s. A couple things that you should know about this style of 30 by 30 or 28 by 28 bungalow, Cape Cod style that was built in our market. Number one, very few of these actually have a one piece or one pour foundation. The majority of basements in our market have a horizontal cold joint through them up until about the mid 50s. And that's just because it was a manpower issue. The concrete mixing on site or the batch plants that were available, they just couldn't get them for houses this size, and so they had to pour the foundation mixing on site with their own drums, and they couldn't get them done in one day. And so we are a big proponent of leaving the foundation that has the cold joint in it alone. This house does not have a cold joint, but that cold joint in a 1 mile radius from where we are now, close to downtown Columbia, that cold joint causes problems. It causes water leaks. Most of the time it's a hinge point because they didn't steel between the two, and they really do cause problems. So in our market, if someone asks to add bedrooms to a basement, we immediately go, okay, well, if there's a cold joint, we're not interested in being involved. I don't want to touch that foundation. Chances are it probably has issues already. Now, if you're going to allow us to make repairs to that foundation or take the foundation wall out and pour a new wall, which we have done before, that's a different story. But if we're going to just cut holes into an existing one with a cold joint, pass. It's not for us. The risk is too high. I don't want to mess up. I don't want to be the one that's responsible for tearing up something in your house or making your house fall down. So let's talk about egress. We're adding 2 of these egress windows to this basement because they're putting 2 bedrooms down there. Egress, the way the code is written, is basically just you need 2 means of egress that lead to separate places and a closet to be a bedroom. Well, one of the doors from this room leads into the living room, and there are no other places that we could add a door that would lead to anywhere other than into that space and still into the same stairwell, from the basement. So we have to have an exterior entrance. This exterior egress. So we need 5.7 square feet of glass. I believe the requirement is no less than 20 inches wide and no more than 24 inches tall. And then no more than 41 to 44, I think it's 44 inches from the floor. So then we have decisions to make. Design-wise on this project, our 2 egress windows match the bedroom windows for the rooms above. There's no reason not to give some symmetry to a house like this. When you only have 4 windows on the wall, they ought to line up probably. They should probably be the same height. They should probably be the same width. They should probably be in the same place on the wall. And so then we just make sure that our design for the interior works for that too, which is designing for interior and exterior at the same time. That can be challenging. These happen to be Anderson 100 series. It's a Fibrex window from Anderson. This is kind of our go-to whenever the market dictates that we would be in that vinyl window price range. The 100 series are better than most of the vinyl windows that we've worked with, if not all of them. This is a casement. I don't remember the exact size of this one. It was not a custom size. What we did was we cut our opening to the exact size that we wanted. So let's talk opening. The opening was cut so that we could add a treated 2x6 all the way around the unit and then slide the unit in and be able to mount to wood like normal. So you can see black here. This black is liquid flash from Huber. It wraps from the concrete onto the 2x6 and into the opening. And on the sill, it goes from the concrete up and covers the 2x6. The 2x6 is sloped And because our cut at the bottom wasn't pitched as much as we would like it normally, we went ahead and put a few saw cuts in the sill of the concrete to let it drain. Our windows also, even if it voids or doesn't follow the manufacturer's warranty on this one, we don't do hammer and nails around glass anymore. It's just not worth the risk. I would much rather us use a cabinet style screw. These are a GRK in a 2-inch, and so once they're through the flange, that gives us almost 2 inches of grab into the wall, and it has that flat cabinet head screw. By the time we liquid flash over this flange and the screws, and then we seat a piece of Versatex PVC or maybe Westlake's True Exterior, the old Boral product. We haven't decided which one we're going to use. One of those will go in here and it will cover all of this, and then it can be painted to match the foundation. So we have white painted foundation, white painted trim, white window. Everything tends to blend together. So this is as simple as coring and cutting, coming with their ring saw or their wet saw and cutting this opening out, and then us just prepping and sizing it appropriately. This is where it gets slightly complicated. The window well code requires a certain distance. If you buy from Bilco or Wellcraft, these happen to be a Wellcraft, I think it's a 5600 series. If you buy from one of those two companies, those are the only two that we've used, and therefore they're the only two that I recommend, and I like them both, their egress window wells meet that spec no matter what, as long as you don't go to a window that is like wider than 3.5 feet, which if you're putting in a casement, don't go wider than 3.5 feet from an American manufacturer anyway, because the sag eventually on the hardware will be a callback pain in your butt. Learned that one the hard way more than once. The Wellcraft units that we're using, 5600, these are sunk below the elevation of the sill of the window. We have 10 inches or so, maybe 12 inches or so of compacted 1-inch clean limestone in the bottom of this. In a perfect world, this connects to a drain tile around the foundation. This house doesn't have drain tile. This project is very budget minded. So what we decided to do was we went the 10 inches down. We're on the non-prevailing weather side of the house, so we're going to get a little less exposure here. And we told the clients, here's what we'll do. We'll put the drainage in. If we have a problem, we'll come back and we'll add a pipe between the two. We'll put a sump pump in one, and then we'll go right here around the corner behind me and connect to a buried downspout. Yeah, it'll cost more to do it the second time, but we're taking the risk. And we actually haven't had any issues yet. These windows, we waited for these units to come in for a few months. These wells have been in place for probably 3 months now, and we haven't had any water stand in the bottom or anything like that. So I don't think we have major concern here. There's not huge exposure. Even though that projection is 3.5 feet, I don't think we're ever going to get enough water in here with the amount of rock that we put in the bottom of this that it would ever fill up and be a problem for the window. If you're burying windows that deep in the soil, both these manufacturers, Wellcraft and Bilco, both have a snap-on cover that from the bottom you can just push up and out of the way if you're trying to get out. But they clip on so that the wind doesn't blow them away, and then they also come with a retainer strap so you can mount with one Tapcon on one side. Then the thing won't fly away if the winds are bad. So this is a standard design for an egress window. We're meeting more than the minimum standard for size. We're meeting more than the minimum standard for depth. We have good drainage. We have waterproofing. It's the same as adding a window up above with just a couple little things altered to make it sit below grade. I think this is something you should consider if you're in the renovation market, adding window wells to basement space to add bedrooms. This window is going to give a lot of light and a lot of safety to that bedroom and make that bedroom that has low ceiling height and is not very big a much more comfortable space for the kids that are going to be in these bedrooms. So this is something you should look into. Wellcraft, they're an Anderson 100 series. We're waterproofing with liquid flash. It's all run-of-the-mill stuff, just applied to a foundation wall. Thanks for following this week on the Build Show Network. Don't forget to sign up for the newsletter. There is 2 newsletters going out a week letting you know all the stuff that's coming out. There is so much content that you're going to miss it if you don't have that newsletter. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram, and don't forget to follow the Unbuild It podcast. Thanks for watching.